Hello, everyone. Welcome to Veterans Perspectives. My name is Jeff. I am your host, author, whatever you want to call me, and welcome to part 3 of the education front, the Mirage of Leaders Planning. Our sponsor for today is me and my wife and our family, my kids as well. They're all part of it. And our Etsy store, jkprintsgifts.etsy.com. I am Jeff, the J. My wife is Carrie, the K. And we are jkprintsgifts.etsy.com. The link will be down in the description. We focus on education, positivity, positive mental health, veteran support. I am a disabled veteran who is retired, a former educator. She's a current educator. She's a librarian this year, the last 2 years, actually. And so our store reflects that. We create the designs, including teacher templates, student templates, and parent templates for our homeschool parents as well. We also create the designs for t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, wall art, all kinds of stuff on there. We do use a print-on-demand company, full transparency, called Gelato, that prints and ships our products. The templates are created by me and my wife on Canva, and those are downloadable. You could use those right away, but the link for that will be down in the description. All right, let's get started. The first two parts of our educational series, which I have titled the Education Front, we looked at the front lines of the classroom. We exposed the professional development charade, as I called it, where veteran teachers actively refuse to update their tactics and wear their stagnation as a badge of honor. We tore down the agency illusion in the classroom, showing exactly how the spoon fed classroom creates a generation of fragile, dependent students who freeze the moment they encounter any sort of friction. We established that the culture inside the building is rotting. But if we're going to be honest about how to fix the system, we have to look higher up the chain of command, which we have started to do, okay? I have never been shy about calling out leadership. I wasn't shy about doing it when I was actively part of the education system. And I'm certainly not going to be shy about doing it now that I'm out of the system, okay? Those that were my leadership know that I had no problem calling them out, okay, from day one. Hell, when I was a student teacher, when I was just an observer, I would call shit out, okay? Because when I went back to school, I was a little bit further on in life, okay? I had already seen things. I had already been through my time in the Army. I had already seen war, okay? Yeah, I'd already seen combat. So I didn't play those games. I wasn't a shy kid. I wasn't in my teens and 20s who hadn't experienced life yet. So I had no problem calling out leadership at that point in my life. So it's all experience dependent. Hell, I called out leadership when I was in the military. Did I get in trouble for it sometimes? Yeah. Was I right all the time? Hell no. Was I right doing it sometimes when I was in education? No. Did I do it the right way all the time? No. Was I perfect? No. I've never said that. I've never pretended to be holier than thou. I'm not perfect, right? But do I believe in the things that I believe in and think that they're right to improve education? Yeah, I do. I do. And I'll keep fighting the good fight. Some people criticize me on my videos, and that's your right. And I'm glad that you do it and think that you have that platform to do it. But some of the things that people say, I think are dead wrong. Like, oh, well, we just have to support teachers. Okay, but we can't support a system that continues to fail. Well, we should pay teachers more. Okay, that's a good start. That's a good start. But where's the accountability for that additional pay? If we're going to pay teachers more, you better do what you're supposed to do as far as professional development. If we're going to pay leaders more, then you better develop actual professional development that's diversified and focuses on every single teacher and different subjects and making sure that we're passing along curriculum that helps students grow. Just like any other job where if you're getting extra pay, you better fucking deliver. And here's where we come to the mirage of leaders planning. Okay? this is about the chain of command. You can't put all the blame on the frontline soldiers. Okay, if the officers refuse to lead. Today we're going to look more at the academic leadership. We're talking about principals, district coordinators, and the administrators who run the building. Specifically, we need to talk about how they treat professional learning communities, PLCs, and how they plan professional development. We're going to dig deeper into that. Teachers are only as good as the leadership who trains them. Okay? And I'll even go back further. Teachers are only as good at the beginning as the school systems who train them. I am not a fan at all of, oh, well, they have a degree, so let them be teachers. Not a fan of it. There is an art form. You can know a subject forwards and backwards, but you cannot know how to teach it. I've seen it. I've watched it happen here in Arizona under Governor Doug Ducey, who said, well, you know, how can we have a system that doesn't allow Sandra Day O'Connor, God rest her soul, to not be a teacher? She's so knowledgeable because she doesn't have a teaching degree. Well, okay, fair point. There are knowledgeable people that may have the ability to teach who have never explored it. They can go back to school and get teaching degrees that go along with their expertise degrees. I'm going to use myself as an example. When I went to ASU, I was a dual major. I said, okay, I want to be a history teacher. I want to be a secondary education history teacher. Okay? I want to teach either middle school or high school history. Okay? So my dual major was secondary education. Teach me how to teach those grade levels. It's out here, that's 6th through 12th grade. Okay? Middle school and high school. Okay? It's secondary ed. But I was like, look, I need to know more. I want to know more about the subjects that I'm going to be teaching. And I've always loved the social sciences. Okay? So I dual majored. I did not minor. I dual majored in history. So I got two degrees. When I left ASU, I left with 2 degrees. 2 bachelors in arts, 1 in secondary education, the other in history. So I not only have the expertise knowledge in my subject, I have the expertise knowledge in teaching. And then I had to pay money to take my exams to go teach. They're called the AEPA, or they were called the AEPA exams. I don't know if they're called the same thing anymore out here. And then I had to recertify. Okay? Right now, you just have to have a degree and you have to get a fingerprint clearance card. I still agree with the fingerprint clearance card, by the way. You have to have some sort of background in teaching to get into the classroom. We have to fix that right away. The pipeline became a problem because the leadership in this state made it a problem, and now we're reaping the benefit. Now we're reaping the consequences of that choice. Well, why are schools continuing to do poorly? Because you told teachers that they didn't matter. You told the teachers that went through the system that became actual teachers that they didn't matter. You didn't pay us more. I wasn't paid more. In fact, I watched people come in without teaching degrees make more money than me, start higher than me. That's not okay. It's not okay. The war room versus the break room. In a functional, high-performing organization, a professional learning community, a PLC, is supposed to look similar to a tactical war room. It's a dedicated block of time where professionals look at hard data. They identify exactly where their students are failing and collaborate to build a targeted instructional response. It's where you put your ego aside and admit that your current lesson plan did not survive contact with the student. In the American public school system, the PLC is a complete mirage. In my experiences, PLCs in the several schools that I have worked at is a complete and total joke. PLCs can work. I've seen them work. But leadership has to be bought into them. The problem with PLCs is that school leadership will hype them up at the beginning of the year, and then about a third of the way through the year, they will give up on them. Principals will stop showing up to PLC meetings, or they will use them as time to allow teachers to vent their frustrations instead of focusing on the data. It is not time. It's not a bitch session for teachers. It's time for you to look at your data, to create ownership of your data. Okay, you gave this exam, or you gave this project, or you're working on this project-based learning segment. What happened? Oh, this is good. Why was it good? Oh, this didn't go so well. What caused it to not go so well? What could we improve on for the next time around? Leadership schedules a PLC, let's say once a week, okay, simply to satisfy a district mandate. Different districts have different mandates. They put it on the calendar, they check a box, and they consider that their job done. They provide zero structure because most leaders do not give a shit about teacher PLCs. They do not care. They'll tell teachers, well, we want these to be teacher-led. Principals want PLCs to be teacher-led because they don't want to lead them themselves, because they don't know how. Principals don't want to look at teacher data because that creates work for the principal. Well, guess what, principals? Your job is your school data. Your school data comes from your teachers. You better fucking know it. And the only way you're going to know it is being an active participant in your teachers' PLCs, in your department PLCs. And, you know, having actual conversations with your departments. That might be a good idea. Maybe. Might be a good idea. They provide zero structure. Oh, they'll write the structure out, show up to one or two meetings, and then say, okay, now the teachers are going to lead it. Stop it. You have to be an active leader and an active participant. You have to. You have to. Because when you're not, there's zero accountability for your teachers. Oh, but they're adults. They're adults. They should hold themselves accountable. Your teachers are your students too. Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. Well, yeah, but I have a department chair to do that. Your department chair is a teacher too, and they have responsibilities too. Hold them accountable. When I walked into these PLCs as a coach, I rarely saw tactical planning, and I don't blame the teachers because they didn't know how to do it. They didn't know. I walked in, and teachers would have data. Hey, I gave this test. I have this data. What do I do with it? How do I look at this objectively? Okay, cool. Let's talk about that. And then I would say, okay, let's look at this. Now, a lot of teachers be like, well, I gave this test and it was perfect. Well, then why did only 20% of your kids pass it? Because teachers don't want to be wrong. Because teachers are the worst students sometimes. And if you can't admit that to yourselves, teachers, you're lying. Teachers would do things like this. They'd swap recipes, talk about their weekend plans, moan, bitch, and complain about your worst students instead of how to improve your classrooms. If they did talk about academics, it was pretty shallow, surface level conversations, pacing guides, calendar dates, no rigor analysis of student work, and no vulnerability. Hey, I did this, it didn't work. And I think I know why. This is what I did. This is what I can be better at. It happens sometimes. It definitely happens sometimes, but it was very rare. It was not the norm. And leadership allowed this to happen because of their lack of involvement. They treated the PLC as a designated venting session instead of an engine for professional growth. They did not sit in the room to guide the process, and they certainly did not demand actionable deliverables at the end of the meeting. They let teachers hide behind closed doors, which we talked about last time, entirely insulating them from the reality of their failing methods. And this is tied directly to our next part, the PD planning failure. The failure of PLCs is directly tied to the chaotic, lazy way leadership plans professional development. Okay? Training an adult workforce requires strategic vision. You have to identify a specific weakness in your ranks, find an evidence-based solution, train the staff thoroughly, and then monitor the implementation over a span of months, heck, even a quarter or a semester or even a school year. You could have a year plan and then break that year plan into chunks, say quarters, have markers to measure, and there's your plan. You drill the new tactic until it becomes muscle memory. School leadership very rarely does this. They treat PD like a fast food drive-through. Instead of building a cohesive year-long training arc, administrators will bring in a random, highly paid consultant. This is usually done at the district level, not at the site level, the school level. This is usually done at the district level. They'll bring in a consultant in August to talk about new educational buzzwords or mental health. Right? They'll force staff to sit through a 3-hour PowerPoint presentation in some fucking auditorium or some gym. Right? They'll hand out a generic slide deck. And then the leadership will never mention the topic again for the rest of the academic year. Or they'll mention it to your instructional coaches at the coaches meeting, and your coaches will bring it up, but you'll never hear it from your actual leadership. There's no follow-up. There's no coaching cycle from your actual leadership. There's no expectation that the teachers will actually take these new practices into the classroom. The principal checked the box and said, oh, well, we did that, PD. The teachers got their hours. Check. For the district office, and the teachers went right back to the same exact passive bullshit in the classroom. And test scores remained relatively the same. And when people do try to build sustainable, accountable PD cycles, there's heavy pushback. I experienced this myself. Like, hey, I need to build diversified PD for the different grade levels, the different subjects. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're rocking the boat, Jeff. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, my job is to tip the boat over. And then suddenly I wasn't an instructional coach anymore, and they stuck me in a fucking classroom where I had to have kids on a computer doing a fucking reading program that hadn't worked in 10 years. But it was required because of funding. That's what happened to me. Yeah. Too many other initiatives going on. You better back off. They viewed actual professional development as a chore. Oh, you're giving the teachers too much extra to do. They're not paid to do that. Oh, they're not paid to become better teachers? Oh, okay. Okay. And then I'll hear the same teachers and the same leadership bitch and moan and complain about lack of attendance in schools because kids are being withdrawn to go to charter schools or to be homeschooled. Well, parents are making choices because you're not professionally developing yourselves or your staff to become better teachers. It's your fault that is happening. And it's because of the next part, the accountability vacuum. The most destructive element of this leadership failure is the complete absence of accountability. If you train a staff on a new procedure, you must inspect what you expect. I'm going to say that again. If you train a staff on a new procedure, you must inspect what you expect. You have to walk into classrooms. You have to observe the instruction. Not what's on the walls. Observe the instruction. You have the hard, uncomfortable conversation when the teacher fails to meet the standard. Like, academic leadership is absolutely terrified of any sort of confrontation with teachers because they're afraid of teachers walking out the door, and then leadership has to try to find a replacement for staff. Leadership is terrified of this. I know that for a fact. And they're terrified of it for two reasons. One, it's hard to replace staff. It is. And two, they don't want to fucking go back into classrooms. They'd rather send their instructional coaches back into classrooms. It happened to me. Now, they also sent me back into classrooms because they didn't want me to be an instructional coach because they were afraid of me and the things I was trying to do and that I would push back. That I know for a fact. I watched principals walk through classrooms where students were entirely disengaged, where the teacher was actively ignoring the new instructional mandates we had just spent weeks training on. I watched it happen. Principal would nod, smile, write up a glowing evaluation just to keep the peace. Saw it happen. They refused to write a critical review because they didn't want to deal with a defensive teacher. Union grievance, even though here in Arizona we don't really have unions, so I don't have that experience. There is a union, but it doesn't hold a ton of power. Or attend staff meeting. This creates a culture of total stagnation. The teachers know that the training is just theater. It's just theater. Just go there and get my hours. They know the leadership has no teeth. They know they could shut their door, ignore the PD, treat the PLC like a coffee break, and absolutely nothing will happen to their careers. They realize very quickly that the only thing the administration actually cares about is maintaining a quiet hallway. The inevitable complaint. This brings us to the most infuriating part of the academic cycle. After years of wasted PLCs, superficial PDs, and zero accountability, the state testing data arrives in May. The scores are usually atrocious. They'll doctor some bullshit and come up with some new mathematical formula to pretend that, oh, well, I'm a B school. We went from a D to a B. Your B's not an 80%. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. The proficiency levels are completely stagnant or dropping rapidly. Kids can't read. They can't do math. They can't write. High schools are reporting this. Colleges are definitely reporting it. And then the leadership is shocked. Oh, my God. Why? Why did this happen? We trained them on this, this, and this, Jeff. Then I go, yeah, but you didn't hold them accountable for it. And then I'm the bad guy. Then I go, okay, fuck off. I've sat in these post-mortem data meetings. Very same administrators refuse to hold their teachers accountable. Very same teachers who fought against every single attempt to change their own teaching methods and instructional methods will sit around the table and bitch and moan about the data. Well, why did the data stay the same or get worse? Because you didn't change. You're the literal fucking definition of insanity. You change nothing and you expect the outcome to be better. They'll blame the demographics. This happens all the time. All the time. It's the kids. Oh, well, the neighborhood got worse. Oh, the neighborhood got worse. Oh, have you seen these parents? Parents, I want you to know that conversation happens in your kids' schools. It happens all the time. Oh, have you seen these parents? Oh, the parents are never involved. I tried to call so-and-so's parents and they never respond. Parents, I'm telling you fucking right now, start calling your kids' teachers on a weekly basis. Teachers, I'm not sorry that I'm saying this. Teachers, I hope that every single one of your parents call you every week and ask for a status update. And I hope you fucking hate it. And then I hope you fucking love it, because that's what you should want. That's what you should want. And parents, if you don't want to call, send an email. Send an email. Hey, hey, like, I'm emailing you just to check up on my kid and see how they're doing in your class. How is their grade and how is their behavior? That's all you have to say. And send it once a week. Is there anything I can do to make sure that they're doing okay in your class? Do it every fucking week. Make them talk to you. Because I guarantee you, when test scores come back, teachers sit in rooms and leadership sits in rooms. Oh, have you seen these parents? These parents aren't involved. Happens every time. They'll blame the state for making the test too hard, even though they're not supposed to read the test. They'll blame the kids for lacking resilience, even though they didn't teach the kids resilience. They'll do everything but look in the mirror. And I'm going to get a string of comments on the main video and on my shorts from teachers doing exactly this, not looking in the mirror. Well, I do this, this, and this. Good for you. Good for you. You're the only one. The string of you are the only one. You're the best teacher in the world. Guess what? As a whole, we have failed. And I'm going to put myself on that list. I wasn't the greatest teacher in the world. I could have been better. And I was the one going to PD, busting my ass off to make those changes. And I was a dick in PD. I can tell you right now that I can message my friends who I taught with and my principals that I worked with when I was a teacher, not a coach. When I was a teacher and I was a dick in PD, I would ask every fucking question in the book. I would make PD uncomfortable because I wanted to be better. Other teachers fucking hated me, and I did not care because I didn't teach for other teachers. I taught for one group and one group only, students. And if that's not why you're teaching, get the fuck out. Do something else. Do something else. Find another passion. Because if that's not why you're in it, then you're in it for the wrong goddamn reason. I'm sorry, but you are. If you're not in it to help kids improve academically, get the fuck out. Teachers very rarely admit that your own refusal to treat training and accountability as a professional mandate is the direct cause of the failure. Teachers very rarely admit it, if ever. Teachers want elite test scores, but then they'll refuse to do the heavy, uncomfortable lifting required to build an elite staff. Leadership sure as fuck won't take any blame. Especially district leadership, they'll pass it off to their principals immediately. District leadership will immediately pull up the site scores, and they'll start blaming the lower sites immediately. Well, this site, and this site. Fuck them. Go after them. They'll start swapping assistant principals. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. The leadership mandate. You cannot fix a broken school by buying a new curriculum or handing out more digital tablets to students. You fix a broken school by fixing the adults in the building. Not replacing them unless they refuse to change. If those adults refuse to change, they must be replaced. And I don't give a fuck how long you've been teaching or how long you've been in education. If you refuse to change, get the fuck out. Get out. We need academic leaders who understand that their primary job is not to be liked by the staff at all. You do not exist to be liked. No one gives a shit if you're liked. The best principal I ever had, she didn't give two shits if anyone liked her at all. She still doesn't. Because she's there for kids. Their primary job is to ensure that the children in the building receive elite instruction. That requires building PLCs that operate like actual war rooms, data-driven conversations. It requires planning PD that is sustained, rigorous, and monitored. Is it perfect all the time? No. No. Does it mean we can't have fun? Of course we could have fun. School's supposed to be fun. Studies show we learn way more when we have fun. It requires the spine to walk into a classroom and tell a 20-year veteran teacher that their methods are failing and they need to change. Until leadership treats the training and accountability as their staff as a matter of critical urgency, the system will continue to fail. The students are suffering because the adults refuse to grow up. It is time for the officers to start leading, or it is time for them to surrender the command. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. My name is Jeff, and I will see you next time on Veteran Perspectives. Thank you.